Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Ophelia. Ophelia is the English form of the Latinized Ophelia, a name created by an Italian Renaissance poet, Jacopo Sannazaro, 1458–1530, in his pastoral masterpiece Arcadia, pub. He fashioned the female name from the Greek ophelos, omicron phi epsilon lambda omicron, meaning help, succor, support, and placed her in Arcadia, the poem's utopia where the narrator retreats from the politically chaotic and corrupt Naples. Later in the early 17th century, the English literary giant William Shakespeare borrowed the name for his own tragic heroine in Hamlet, c. 1605. In fact, Ophelia is one of the most analyzed female characters in all of English literature. In the play, Ophelia is barely beyond adolescence, a naive, innocent girl, an obedient daughter, a loving sister, a patient girlfriend, until she finally descends into madness, as one incapable of her own distress, all thanks to Hamlet's rather cruel head games. See literary references below for more on Ophelia, the character. Despite Ophelia's tragic circumstances in Hamlet, the name was later adopted for usage in the 19th century. It's always been considered exotic and still rather uncommon, yet it does remain on the female naming charts in England. Personality of the girl named Ophelia. The three energy is powerful and enthusiastic. These personalities are cheerful, full of self-expression, and often quite emotional. They have an artistic flair and gift of gab that makes them natural entertainers. Their joyfulness bubbles over, and their infectious exuberance draws a crowd. The three personality is like a child, forever young and full of delight. They are charming, witty, and generally happy people. The three personality lives in the now and has a spontaneous nature. Three seem to live with a bright and seemingly unbreakable aura that attracts others to them. In turn, they are deeply loyal and loving to their friends and family. Luck also has a tendency to favor number threes. Ophelia was probably most popular in the United States during the 19th century and was even quasi-familiar as a baby girl's name in the first part of the 20th century. By the 1940s, however, parents clearly became disinterested in Ophelia, and, by the conservative 1950s, no one wanted anything to do with this name. In fact, 1958 marks the last year Ophelia would find herself on America's Top 1000 list. That's good news for parents looking for a lovely name, but one which is largely neglected. Not to mention this one has some serious Shakespearean cachet. We have heard some bellyaching out there about the possibility of the Ophelia schoolyard teasing, but this is a silly reason to reject the name in our humble opinion. There's also the pedophilia, necrophilia, and/or hemophilia word associations, and yet the Greek-based philia suffix simply means to like, be fond of. And we are fond of Ophelia. Ophi is a cute nickname. In fact, we just met a border collie named Ophelia whose owner affectionately called her Ophi. A smart name for a smart dog. Gender, girl. Origin, English. Ranking popularity, not applicable. Characteristics of Ophelia. Cultural references to the baby name Ophelia. Literary characters of the baby name Ophelia. Claire is one of the characters in Harriet Beecher Stowe's highly influential anti-slavery 1852 novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, or Life Among the Lowly, which outsold everything in its day except the Bible. Claire, who owns the slave Tom. She serves to represent the ambiguity of what many white Americans felt about the issue of slavery at the time. Ophelia is essentially a God-fearing and pious woman, a staunch abolitionist who preaches about the evils of that institution. At the same time, she is, almost subconsciously, actually prejudiced against African Americans. While spouting the rhetoric, she spurns the reality. Hailing as she does from Vermont, Ophelia has had little congress with them. It is only when she spends time in the South that she begins to understand that her initial distaste for the slaves was the result of ignorance and unfamiliarity on her part. Through the twists and turns of the plot, Ophelia comes to realize her own shortcomings and to understand, finally, that all people are just that, first and foremost, people. Nonetheless, as a symbol of feminine goodness in the face of the gendered powerlessness of her time, she is unsurpassed. Popular songs on Ophelia. A song by Luke Temple, a song by Adam Cohen, Cry Ophelia, Ophelia.